I'd like first of all to express sympathy to past family and friends who gather here this evening. I've known Pat a long time, since high school days. Then I did St. Joseph's for 10 years before retiring, and Pat and her family and I have been friends for a long time. St. Paul was a great evangelizer, especially to the Gentile world. He traveled extensively and kept in touch then with those communities by the letters that he wrote to them. There were many of them, to the Philippians, the Romans, the Thessalonians, the one we heard a moment ago, to the Corinthians. Corinth was a huge city in those days. I remember visiting there on a trip to the Holy Land several years ago. And you come away impressed by the remnants of what that city must have been. In this passage we just heard, Paul dwells on his occupation as a tent maker. He compares the tent to ourselves. He speaks of our bodies changing in death. You might have had the experience of being directed to a good campground where the beach is fantastic, the fish are always biting, and everything is just a perfect place. Well, you get there and set up camp, and things don't happen the way they're supposed to. And so someone comes along and says, well, you know, just a few miles down the road from here, you might find a better place. And so you go there. It looks like a perfect beach. You go out on the water and the fish are practically jumping into the boat, and you found the perfect spot for a vacation. But you moved from one location to another. And that's what Paul says to us about death and dying. We move from life here on this earth to life with the Lord Jesus in his heavenly kingdom. He reminds us that we walk by faith, not by sight. Pat, whom we honor today with this prayer service, certainly was a woman of faith, and she walked by faith, not by sight. The Lord has called her now to a new life with him in our heavenly kingdom. It's the perfect spot where one day we all hope to be. Jesus, in the gospel reading, speaks about the end times. And he says, it will happen to us like a shepherd separating sheep from goats. To those on his right, the sheep, he will say, come blessed to my Father. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, you welcomed me. Lord, when did we do this? As long as you did it to those in need, he will say, you did it to me. Pat was always a caring, helpful, compassionate person, reaching out always to those in need. I'm sure she must have heard those words of Jesus, or something very similar to these. Come, you blessed to my Father, take possession of the kingdom prepared for you. I'm sure she rests in peace with her parents, her husband Ray, her siblings, and all those she knew who went on ahead of her. I'm sure they were all on the other side. They were the welcoming committee as she made her appearance at the gates of heaven just a few days ago. Eternal rest, grant unto her, O Lord, and let
May
perpetual light
shine upon her.